Hey everybody, my name is Lindsay and I'm an introvert.
Hi, my name is Dubs. I'm also an introvert.
And we're here to talk to you today about introvert in sales, specifically Facebook groups and how they work. We actually have a guest with us today, so big change.
Special guest.
We pulled him straight from the office right over there. This is my husband, Mike Lindsay, and he is a lender. So Mike, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your career, all of those things? Introduce yourself to our lovely subscribers.
Absolutely. So I got into the industry shortly after you had gotten licensed, and I started out as your glorified transaction coordinator. And then I got the real estate license so I could help open doors and write contracts and all that good stuff. And eventually we just made the mutual decision to bring the loans into it as well. And so I got licensed in Colorado, and now I'm licensed in I think 19 states, and I do loans for our real estate team and a bunch of real estate partners throughout the US.
So we did have him start his own Facebook social media group last year. And does that group have any impact on the fact that you have 20 buyers under contract right now throughout the United States?
Absolutely. So we decided to start a group. Our primary demographic is VA, so I built a group aimed at that specific demographic called Tales from a VA Lender. And we started it, I think, the end of May last year. We're knocking on the door of 2,000 people in the group. And so far, I have pulled 13 closings out of the group, and there's 5 more currently under contract, including one from this past weekend.
Wow.
Congratulations.
That's cool.
And the good thing about that is that you are providing value to not only the agents here in Colorado Springs, but also our referral partners, because we're handing off pre-approved leads, which is incredible.
So you don't see that a whole lot with lenders. So outside of just, good rates and pricing and the customer service that everybody wants, I am sending pre-approved buyers the other way. And I don't know, when we were just doing the real estate side, no lender was sending us pre-approved buyers.
Never.
Right. So we feel like that's just an added layer of value that I'm able to provide all of our partners.
Yeah.
So then, because my husband is also an introvert, we're a super fun pair at parties.
What parties?
Exactly. So that being said, we're not going out and looking for business. Will never happen. So how do you think, what is the difference then between how you conduct your business and how your other lender counterparts conduct theirs?
Well, I think there's a lot of ways to generate leads. I know lenders who literally will just go and hang out at the bar and make conversation, or they'll go to all the big public events and just, circle the room. I know people that will cold call all day long. I don't know where they get all these phone numbers from. I know people that just work through their CRM. I don't think I would be very good at any of those because it's not really playing to my strengths. And if I tried to go out and hang out at the bar all day long, I don't think I would make a lot of headway, to be honest.
That's funny.
But I am really good at sharing relevant information and teaching. And social media, specifically a Facebook group, is a perfect conduit for that because I can control the information, I can present it exactly how I want, and I can do it on a consistent basis with a captured audience.
Sure.
Now, I love it.
Did you think you were good at that? And social media was a strength for you when you first started way back a year ago?
No.
Okay.
The strength is I didn't have to go out and meet people in person.
Right.
But the ability to make posts that people responded to share data in a way that elicits interest, that took a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just one of those things where I made the commitment when we started the group. I made the commitment I'm going to post every day.
Okay.
Every day. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to make a post. I'm going to respond to people. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So it was like a project that I committed to. And it was tough at first. Because it's not like I started it and then all these people were like, oh, I gotta hear what Mike Lindsay has to say on this subject. I mean, it took a while to even get to 100 people. And I was very discouraged because I would, lay in bed at night. I would come up with this like fantastic idea for a post. And then I would spend like an hour doing it. And then I would post it at like 7:30 a.m. and I'd circle back around at 2 p.m. and it's got 2 likes. One's her, the other one's my mom. And I'm like, wow, man, this is not good. But over time, it started to build momentum and more people joined. And yeah, I started to get some tangible progress out of it.
I love that.
Find your way. Now you said it was a commitment.
Yes.
What took you from like being like, I don't know, I'm holding back, to making that commitment? Like, nope, I'm gonna do it.
Well, I mean, I had seen this work from Marissa.
Right.
In a couple of housing groups that she had put together. So I knew there was something to it. I had to find my voice, which is not her voice or anyone else's voice.
Right.
I had to find how I was going to present information, and I understood that it was going to take some time.
Yeah.
People trust takes time. Getting enough members in there for the group to start running itself, it takes time.
Yeah.
So I just tried to make it as part of my daily routine. Like it was just at the top of my list every morning. Like I would just go through my emails, answer all the pertinent stuff, and then right into the group. It was not negotiable. It still isn't. I'm still in there every day, but it was just that day in, day out of whether or not I'm getting progress, or at least what I think is progress, I'm going to keep on posting in there. Because with these groups, you're getting, what I know now is that you are getting progress whether you see it or not. Like you get what you call lurkers.
The lurkers
that don't ever interact, they
yeah.
don't ever like, heart, anything, but just out of the blue, they'll DM you, hey, I've been following you for 6 months, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, wow, I never even heard of you. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Do you remember your first time you had a lurker reach out and you were like,
I don't remember them specifically, but I remember like the joy of because it happened fast. I mean, for the first few months, nothing really happened.
Yeah.
And then I remember there was a week where 3 people reached out.
Whoa.
And wanted to have real conversations. And I remember running in there and telling her
oh, that's awesome.
Supposed to reached out, they're doing this, doing that. And it just happened at once.
It's working. Right? It's working.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Exactly.
That makes me think of, as you're talking about just putting in the work and not seeing the results.
Right.
Have y'all seen that parabolic curve that goes like this? And it's no results, and then all of a sudden it takes off, and it's you're right here, right before it takes off. Don't stop.
Yeah.
You never know when that week of 3 is going to come and really start all that momentum. And it's for me, that's such a good mindset to think about. Oh.
And I would rather sit in that no progress all day before I am doing any of those more extroverted activities with sales.
Right.
I would, because when I started doing it with, my group here, it was the same thing where no progress, I talking to myself, had no idea what I was doing. But I was like, oh my God, if this does not pay off, then that means that I'm going to have to do what everybody's telling me to do. And I do not want to do that.
Yeah.
And so I would rather sit in that unknown and just wait for something to click for someone than go out and be intrusive.
Yeah, I mean, the way I started to think of it was, marketing is a volume-based business. So it's when you drive down the road and you see, a McDonald's sign, you don't just see the sign one time and you're just overcome with this urge to run in there and get a Big Mac or something, right? They want you to see that logo, that name over and over and over and over until it's just imprinted in your subconscious. And then someday down the road when you want a hamburger, you're just going to walk into McDonald's and you can't even really explain why. So now that's how I think of it, is they just see my name and my value over and over and over, and then someday down the line when they want to buy a home or they know someone who wants to, they're going to speak my name, and they probably won't even really understand why. They just know they have to. That's the guy to go to, and that's the person that's just going to pop up in my DMs.
Right.
Nice.
And it happens.
It absolutely happens.
Name recognition is such a big deal. And I talk about this with our agents all the time. And I'm like, you need to be posting all the time, not just to create relationships where people are actually interacting with your posts, but also just for the name recognition, because name recognition can go such a long way with trust, especially if you're leading with value and it's not salesy. And I feel like the second though that somebody does become salesy, it like takes that name recognition and does turn it into a negative.
Puts a bad taste in people's mouths.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you just have to be very careful. There's that fine line. But, you know, I am a member of Mike's group, and so I watch how he does it, and it's just very value driven. Talking about the rates, what a good cost sheet looks like, what a not good cost sheet looks like, ways to, you know, negotiate using concessions and how concessions will impact your monthly payment versus, you know, offering less on a house and what that looks like. So, like, I watch his posts, and I can see why people have just kind of started coming out of the woodwork and asking him questions and asking them to help him navigate their situation, because it is so value driven. And the thing is that you think, like, how often, like, how much could you possibly say about rates and loans? But he like makes it happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's about value. So you have to figure out, like, what could this person not find out for themselves within 60 seconds on Google? That's really, if somebody tries to Google something, what I have found, and they can't really find tangible response within 60 seconds, they'll move on. So it can't be that superficial stuff of, like, you know, oh, a VA loan doesn't have a down payment. Yeah, you can find that out, you know, in a 5-second Google search. It's the stuff underneath it. So yeah, we could talk rates and all that kind of stuff all day, but, you know, why don't we talk about, you know, rental property income? You know, why don't we talk about the type of qualifying incomes required for a VA loan, depending on whether you're in or out of the service, W-2 versus 1099. And then we, you know, go into other things that aren't necessarily loan-based, but are financial-based, like how to pay off debt using the snowball effect. So it's just things that, you know, people find interesting that have to do with finances or loans or homes, and provide it to them in a relatively, you know, concise way that they can digest, and then also spark some interest so they can, you know, come back with some more questions, because that's where you really start to establish that relationship.
Yeah. So thinking about, like, your value that you provide, like, it's very information based,
Yes.
like very tangible, like your expertise, you've seen hundreds of loans at this point. And so you have that very tangible, informative value to provide.
Right.
Versus when I think about, like, Marissa's post, when she posts in a group, you know, it's very different. It's still providing that value, but it's almost like my value is your friend. Like, she does a great job of doing that in the post. And so it's like, obviously there's information in there about Colorado Springs and stuff, but
Yeah.
when you post, talk about kind of what's your flavor, what's your voice, how does that come
Well,
across?
Some of it is the nature of the jobs,
Yeah.
right? The real estate relies, it's super relational,
Sure.
right? Whereas mortgages is super black and white. It's fact-based, it's numbers, it's math, which plays a little bit more into my personality. Like, I still work to build the relationships, but when it comes to mortgages, like, people just want it straight up.
You lead
like,
with the numbers.
Tell me where we're at. Like,
Gotcha.
You know, and my philosophy is, like, I don't put lipstick on a pig. Like, these are the numbers. You know, this is where you fall. This
Yeah.
is what you're qualified for. You know, this is what we can work with right here. And that level of transparency is kind of uncommon.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of lenders, unfortunately, like to play smoke and mirrors with numbers, with rate sheets. And it's historically has been a very predatory business, which is why they have a lot of now laws preventing that kind of thing. So, like, transparency, I show people things they've never seen before.
Yeah.
Even if they bought 5 or 6 homes, like, guarantee they've never actually seen a rate sheet and understand how it works.
Yeah.
And I explain that to them. They're like, wow, if I had known this 5 transactions ago, I probably would have made some different decisions.
Yeah.
And that's what my
awesome.
value-based model is built around.
That's awesome. So you just took basically transparency and honesty and said,
Right.
hey, here you go. And that obviously
Right.
is going to build trust for those people who are looking for
Exactly. And the funny thing is, what led her and I into this business is the experiences we had buying homes.
Awful.
And that's how I always lead, is like, I've been there.
Yeah.
I had bad experiences. We had bad experiences. This is what happened. And our entire business model, real estate and loans, is built around how we would have liked to have been treated. What I would have liked to have known when I got my first estimate, because
Yeah.
I opened it up, it was a bunch of scary numbers. I couldn't get anyone on the phone. We were kind of stuck. I'm like, well, I guess I'll sign it and hope for the best, you know. And that wasn't a fantastic feeling. And
Yeah.
you know, no one that I personally have ever worked with has felt that way. I made sure of that.
Good. No, that's awesome. And now y'all have started this business, and like Marissa was talking about, and you were talking about earlier, it has blossomed into all these other unfolding opportunities, like you working throughout the country, but like building a referral from a lender, like that's just weird. Like it's like not something you hear of, but because you're looking for ways to provide value in unique ways, like everything's just unfolding in a lot of ways for you guys. So
Right.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's incredible what leading with value can do. And the more I think value we're able to provide within this industry, the more addicted I am to providing value.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fantastic. And I love that, because we have had those bad experiences.
Yeah.
Are there any posts that you made where it like really took off? Like anything that you received a lot of feedback?
There's been a few. I mean, the thing with social media is there is a certain amount, there's strategy behind it, but there's also a bit of the old throwing the dart at the dartboard. Like it's, you know, sometimes posts take off, sometimes they don't, just depending on the timing and who sees them that day. But the ones I tend to have the most success with are when I break down loans. When I redact a loan estimate and I do my thing with the colored arrows and I explain what all these numbers mean and how we got there. And also the rate updates and how we got there as well. Like people really respond well to seeing the numbers, understanding the breakdown, how we got there, how it could affect them. I get a lot of feedback on that.
That's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. No.
Because those cost sheets do look like foreign languages.
Well, they don't
when-
make a lot of sense.
They don't.
They're not
No.
intuitive, and it's almost, you think they're like deliberately built that way originally.
Right.
So, you know, when I send one out, I do like to get the borrower on a Zoom call or at least a phone call, and we'll just go over it line by line by line. So they understand not only how the numbers got there, but like, what the heck is title insurance? What is an appraisal? Like, how does that affect me?
Right.
What's mortgage interest, that debt daily rate? Like, how does that affect me?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the numbers on there are within our control. Like, we can manipulate them but you got to know how to do it before you ever get to that point.
Cool.
There's so many ins and outs that people just don't understand.
Right.
So awesome. Love it. And love that you're providing that value through social media.
Yep.
And I mean, this says so much, though, that he has so much business going on right now because of his group and the value that he's providing there. Because people are leaving the mortgage industry in droves, right?
I think there hasn't been this few loan originators since the mid-90s.
Wow.
That's crazy. And for him to be doing this kind of business in this kind of market, it really does speak volumes. And, you know, and the thing is that making these posts take 15 to 30 minutes. It's so easy to do versus trying to build one-way relationships with real estate agents, which is what I see most often. Is that, like, if you're a real estate agent and you're watching this, I know for a fact you have 10 messages in your inbox today from a lender. And they're, you know, those automatic messages where they like, So seriously, I will get like 3 different lenders will send me the same exact thing because they're a part of that like automated email program or something like that, and they buy into it. Y'all, people don't like that. Like, we can see that there are several of you using the same thing and you did not change a word. There's no value there. And so instead of trying to make those one-way connections with real estate agents because lenders are usually looking for them to get them the business. Mike is actually trying to make relationships work with the actual client in order to provide value in the other direction. And because of that, and because your rates are also very good, by the way, like the people in these other states are now also sending clients back to Mike because he's providing that value. Like seriously, in my first year of business, my first 10 months, 48 deals, not one single time did my lender ever send me anybody. Never happens. Actually, I continued using him up until you got licensed. So that was like 2 years.
A few hundred deals probably by the end of it.
We're talking 0. He never sent me one. And I never got a shout out. I never, like nothing. And so for Mike to be able to provide that value in return is just, it's huge. So I love it.
Yeah. Congrats on your group and congrats on taking that step and, branching out and doing the thing. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm excited. We're about at 2,000.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see how many people we can get in there this year.
Yeah.
It'd be great to get it up to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it could just be a lead generation machine. But if nothing else, it'll just be a place people can go where they're not going to get sold. They're not going to get hounded by lenders and real estate agents.
Right.
They just know they can go there. They can go through all my posts. They can ask questions and then use it in their individual scenario, whether they use me as a lender or not.
That's awesome.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Thank you for joining us this week on this podcast. As you can see, social media groups, it's not just for real estate agents. It can be anything with sales. And I implore you to, if you've decided to give social media groups a shot, like this is your friendly reminder to just give it a go, see what happens, and be consistent. Above anything else, be consistent in posts. So make today great. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.